So in this session, we will see event-based triggered on your storage account. As soon as the file is available on your storage account, the entire pipeline gets kicked off. So even if you're sleeping at night, if you have a file coming from someone, the pipeline will get executed. Next morning when you are into office, you will already have that production file available for you. Okay. So now in my previous session, I've seen a time based, which is within a time frame. If there is a file, it will keep on checking, and if the file is available, it is going to kick off the entire pipeline. So in this session, whatever I'm going to do today, I'll just show it to you. So we will have a storage container. So in this case, it could be blob. The moment we upload a file, we'll have this entire pipeline getting executed. So in the pipeline, you will have a metadata checks that we are going to do. And after metadata checks, which is in conjunction with a condition, because in metadata checks, you pull out the information, here you check it. And if everything is good, we put it into the production location, which in our case here it is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Okay, Data Lake. So this is where we're going to put our final file. So when I'm saying next morning when you go to office, you will see the production file already available. You can do the further process in the data. So this is this is not at all time consuming. At the same time, so you're avoiding human error. Okay. So if all this pipeline, if succeeded, well and good. If it has failed, then we'll have an email alert. So even if it succeed, if you want to send an email alert, we can do that as well. But in our case, if our pipeline gets failed, we'll see how can send an email alert to. So that means if the pipeline has failed somewhere, you can send a mail directly from the automate email to your client saying that it has failed. So the client immediately would know that there is some issue with the input file that we have sent. Okay, so let's quickly head back now to the Azure portal, and the first thing first is we will do a storage account. First of all, we'll create a storage account, then the data factory, then we'll set that event-based trigger, and then the email alert. That's the entire process it's going to be. For the storage account, I need to have a two storage account, one where the input file is going to come, another where my final file will be. Okay, the production file will be. So in our case, the input file, I'm going to create a blob, and within a blob, I'm going to create an input container. Okay, and in case of the final file, output file, I'll create a data lake storage account, and over there I'll have an output container. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll quickly head over to, instead of storage account first, let me first create a resources. Very good practice that you create one resource group and put all the Azure service that you create inside that resource group for a particular project. So I'll name it as RG resource group. I'll make it as training 13. Okay, training 13, that's the name that I have been following all through for respective trainings. So yeah, training 13, I'm going to put it, and then South India, that will do. I'll review and quickly create. There is nothing that you need to invest time on it. If this is getting created at the back end, I'll quickly head over and create the storage account. Okay, the resource group doesn't take much time. It is instantly available. See, while we're creating, if I click on the resource group, RG Training 13 is already there. So at the back end, it has got created. Now storage account, this is going to be my blob. So I'm going to mention it as training 12 blob. Okay. So I'll get a hint that it's going to be my input folder. So also I'll mention input. Okay. Blob should be enough. Okay. BLOB blob, and I'll definitely mention input because let me go right in the beginning and mention it input. So input training 12 blog, that's the name that I've given South India. You can put your name up to your convenience. This becomes more convenient. So if you're creating a blob, you can directly hit review plus create. That should do it. Okay, I think once more you have to go and create it here. So it is going to get created. But for Azure Data Lake Gen 2, there is one bit of thing that you have to do. So I'll just, since it's getting deployed at the backend, I'll quickly head over and create another account. Okay. I'll quickly create my Azure Data Lake Gen 2, where my output file is going to be. It's not a new. Here I'm going to create RG Training 13. That's the name. Storage account. It's going to be output. Okay. I'll put first output. Then I'll mention it as training 13 as per the naming I mean the way I follow the naming convention. And at the end, I'm going to put it as lake. So it will assure me that I'm creating data lake here. Here again, I'm going to give it as locally redundant. I'm going to press next instead of review plus create. So once you hit next, the first thing that you'll be looking for, enable hierarchical namespace. Sometimes we'll have a discussion. So this will help me create Data Lake Gen 2. Okay. Sometimes we'll spend some time understanding what is blob and Azure Data Lake Gen 2. I'll review for now. I'll just review plus create it now. So this should do it. That was the only difference step that you need to do for blob and the data lake creation. So now it is again getting deployed. Okay. Now, if you remember, I said that within the each storage account that I'm creating, I'm going to create one container each. Okay. So if I go to my resource group here, you will see whichever has got created as of now. Okay. This is my resource group. Whatever got created, it will show up. So my input blob, which I have initially started with, it is getting created. It has already gotten created. I'm going to create a container here. I'll name the container as input. This is where I'm going to upload the file. For a time being, let me upload the file and also show you the file, how the file will look like. So if you see, this is export.csv. This is my input file going to be in my test case. There are 6 columns. Okay. In previous session also I've used the same file. There are 6 columns here, and these 6 columns I'm going to do a metadata checks later. Okay. Once I've uploaded the data. So if you can remember this. So export.csv, I'll just minimize this and let me upload this in the input container which I've created. Um, I'll upload it here, browse file. I'm going to search for it, export.csv. It has already come. I'll upload it. So once the upload is happened, now I'm going to tell you why I have just uploaded it, right? When I want things to be event based, why have I uploaded it? For some reason, because I have to do a metadata checks later. I have to make that pipeline. So this is going to give me a help. Okay, that I'll tell you why I have done it. So I've created a 2 tabs. Okay, so I'll use the next tab just for my convenience so that I can do it quickly. Let me come back here and let me go to my resource group just to see in resource group training if my other, yeah, see now my output training lake also got created. Okay, this is where my output file will be, my final production file. I'll create a container here. I'll name it as output. Okay, so in output, as I'll just show it to you, it is blank. So if my pipeline gets succeeded, here you will have the export.csv file. So let me head back here into my resource group. I'll keep it as it is. As of now, only two storage account I said. I have created it. Next, I'll go and head over and I'll create data factory. Okay. So data factory, create data factory. It is even more simpler. Creation is, so resource group RG training. I'll name the data factory starting with DF and I'll put it as training 13. That's it. And I'll, instead of East US, I'm going to put Central India because that's where I'm located now, and I'll review plus create it. So when I say Central India, because I'm close to this particular location, so this will, with the idea that it was going to charge me little less. That's the motive behind it. Okay, but you can see the pricing tier and everything to understand how each locations are being charged. So some of the location gets charged more, some of the locations are less. That's how Azure is, but the amount is very different, very negligible. I could have easily selected others and do it. So I'll go to the resources. I think your deployment is complete. I'll go to the resources straightway. Okay, so sorry, deployment is still happening. Okay, I'm going to the, again, your RG training resource 13. So data factory hasn't okay, now it has come, as you can see here. I'll go back, launch studio. So as this is coming up, let me tell you here 2 important components. That is, in the Azure Data Factory with the storage account, you'll have to have a connection both with the input and the output storage account that I've created. Okay, these 2 connectors, we call it as a linked service that we are making. Okay, so you will see me making 2 linked services, one for the input, one for the output. Similarly, I have to also make a data set. Data set points out what kind of a data sets you are having. So for, in my case, it was a CSV file. I'll have to explicitly say that it is a CSV file. Okay. Now, in case it could, in other, I mean, it could be Excel, it could be database, it could be so many things. Azure Data Factory has everything. just to explicitly be mentioned that this is the kind of a type of a file I have. Okay, so yeah, two link services, two data sets. That's what I'm going to quickly do it now. So if you see on the left hand side, this is author, this is monitor, this is manage. So these are the three important things that we all of us have to deal with as of now. So in the first step, I'll go to manage and I'll go and create this link service, the connectors. Okay, the first thing is with the blob, which is my input. Okay, I'm going to mention it as blob because that was a blob that I've created. I'll mention it as ls, and then I'm going to mention it as input, and then blob. This is a name that I've given. It's up to you. How do you define the name? Because it's an input and it is a blob, that's the reason I have given this name. So this is again is going to help me. Okay, help me just to understand which is what. Storage account. See, storage account is for the input file. It is my input. I've mentioned it as by mistake 12. Okay. I'm so sure I've mentioned it training 12, but it should have been 13. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and select this. Now, once I have done with this, that's it. I can test the connection here. It will turn into green, but in interest of time, I'm just creating it. I know everything is all good. So my one link service is created. Another link service will be with the output. Okay. So I'm going to output is my lake. If you remember data lake, sorry, Azure data lake Gen 2, and I'm going to continue it. I'm going to change the name and put it as per my convenience, lake. It is going to be a link, and where we dump the data, right? In dump is in, I'll put it sync, where you sync the data, source and sync. That's how Azure Data Factory works as. Source is where you're going to pull the data, and sync is where you're going to put the data. That's the way it works. So I've mentioned here as sync, and I'll select the subscription here. I'll put the storage account is lake. If you remember, output training lake. Okay, so I know I don't have to test the connection here. I'll just go ahead and create. So once this link service is created, I'll go ahead to author, where I have to create the data set, where I have to explicitly mention what kind of a data it is. So first, for the input, which is blob, I'm going to make it as CSV. If you remember, it was export.csv file that we had. So I'm going to mention is ds input, and I'm going to mention it as blob. Okay, that's it. The link service that I've created for this ls input blob. So that's how it helps if you're there. So here you have to navigate to the path of the container where your input file is, which is export.csv. I'm going to mention that. Okay, I'm going to put it as okay. So my one of the data set is done. If you see, it has been created. Now another data set is going to be for my output, which is now I'm going to search for lake, data lake. Okay, so I'm going to type lake. It will show me here Azure data lake. I'll continue here. I'm saying that again, output is CSV. If I want, I could make it JSON, but for my convenience as of now, just to show, I'll put it CSV, but I could have picked anything. Okay, here. So continue, and then data limited DS, and I'm going to mention it as lake, and then I'm going to mention it as output. Link service here, ls, sorry, I think I'll cancel it. Link service, I'm going to make it as ls lake, and then let me put the path, which is the output path here. That's the path where your data will get finally synced, the production file. Okay, so I could have given a name here, but let me leave it. Okay, let it be export.csv. So two data set is also created, two my link service are also created. I can go ahead and publish it, but let me publish it after I have created the pipeline. Okay, the reason why I'm creating the pipeline first, then I'll create the trigger, because I want entire pipeline to be an event based. Okay, that's why I've created the, and now I'm creating the pipeline. So pipeline, I'm going to name it as event based pipeline. Why am I not able to event based pipeline? So you can remember the name. Okay, the reason why I say even if you don't want to, it's up to you, because once the pipeline gets executed, this is the name is going to show up. So let me now, if you remember, let me just go, as I said it to you, that I'll do a metadata check as soon as it enters. Okay, so this is what the pipeline I'm going to create now. Metadata check condition, and then finally we're going to put it, and then the email alert. Okay, so first thing is metadata. As you've seen, I'm going to type metadata is under general, so I'm going to put it here. For settings, I'm just going to select the source, this ds input blob. You're going to pull the data from here. That's what I'm instructing. And then other, you can leave it. Field list you have to create. Now in field list, I'll just take one. In my previous session, I've shown it 3. So in my drop down, you can see there are so many, right? I have clicked on column count. Now this is the reason, so that column count appears here. That is the reason I have uploaded that export.csv already in the input folder, which I said, right? Why did I put it? Because it's an event based, right? Let me put it later on and then see entire pipeline getting executed. But I've instead put it before, just to see that column count gets, that's what I've noticed. Okay, if you don't have any file over there as a template, it will not show column count here. So that's the reason that I have put it. So I hope that you have understood this part, column count. Now I'm just putting this as a field list. It's up to you. You can put as many as you want. Just go and create new. Okay. So now this is done. Once metadata is done, metadata comes in conjunction here, as I said, with a condition here. Okay. So that means in metadata is going to extract the columns. Okay. And then you have to validate with the condition. You're going to apply condition. So I'm going to look for condition. So if I see condition here, if condition is there, because that's a condition that I'm looking for. Why if condition? Because if my activity is true, right? If my activity is true, see, you're going to select, if you click here, this is where it will show up down. Okay, activities, and then I'm going to click in this box. You say add dynamic content. Here I'm going to put at the rate equal. Okay, EQUA. Okay, the first part. So in equal, you see one comma, and then left hand side we have space, right hand side we have some space, right? At the left hand side, here we're going to search for some variables. Okay, parameters, system variables, file variables. Why didn't I get it? Okay, now why didn't I get it is just because, see, I should have got some values here. Nothing has come. The reason being is I did not link it. I need to link this metadata first. Once the link is done, then only it will show up. Now if I go to activity, click in this box, add dynamic, now you see all these options have shown up. So I'm going to say at the rate equal. Okay, I'll select this. Now you see comma. On the left hand side of the comma, I'm going to select this get metadata column count. So I'm validating if the column count is 6. Okay, if this is 6, as you have shown the export.csv file, that column count was 6, right? So if it is 6, then my pipeline will move ahead. Okay, the pipeline will move ahead in terms of, now I'll just have to copy, that is migrate the data. Okay, I'll do the migration. That's the only metadata check I'm doing. Okay, I have selected the copy. If you click here, I've selected the instance called copy. Okay, so if, I don't know if I can show it again, but if you click on the copy here, see it shows up all here, right? I'll go to source. I'll go to select and then put include ball. Why do you want to sync it? Put it into the production. In this sync folder, I'm going to select DS lake output, because that's where I want the file to be, and the final location at the DS lake output. Okay, that's I've mentioned it. If it is true, what if it is false? Then I'm going to create again on the plus, and I'm going to say that you failed it. Okay, because the fail message in the pipeline has to be there. So I'm going to select at the center here, come to the setting. Very important two fields you have to put is a failure message. What is the message I'm going to say? I'm going to say pipeline failed due to validation. Okay, that's the message that I put. And the error message, you can put it anything 8809 or 404, anything that you want to put. So once this is done, a right practice is that immediately, because if it is true, if your file is getting copied, your validation is succeed, then you delete it. So in order to delete, you delete the source file. Okay, because if the file is getting copied and you have a redundant file, right? So you can come here and then select from here, you'll type again delete. So delete. So this delete, if you drag it here and then connect it, what will happen is you just have to mention again the source in the delete. Okay, if you mention it again, your file will also get deleted from the source. That I'm not showing you. If you want to check it, check my previous video, I've shown it in details. I'm going to go back here. Okay, same place. Now this, you see my entire pipeline is created. If you look, so till here condition is getting created. Now all that I have to do, I have to sync it. That this sync is also done, because as I showed, the copy part sync is also done. All that I'm left it is the email alert and the event trigger. The event trigger that I'm going to do here. Okay, so let me do the event trigger first, and then I'll do it. Or let me do the email alert first. Okay, so how should I do the email alert? Email alert will happen only if the pipeline is getting succeeded, right? So let me do the email alert first. I'll go to the monitor here, see alert matrix, and then I'll quickly set a new alert. I'll put a new alert name as let it be as is training 13. Okay, and then severity I'm going to mention at 0 to 2. I'm going to add criteria. Criteria is going to be fail, if you remember. Okay, fail. I'm looking for a fail now. Fail failed. If the pipeline fails for some reason, you're going to do it. So failed pipeline for run factory. So you're going to control F and select it. Okay, because it's not going to come, or else control F and select it. Continue this, and then it says condition greater than. That means even if there are one pipelines getting failed, it will give you that alert. Okay, so I'm going to add this criteria without nurturing any of the details, other details. I'm going to configure notification here. So give it an action group name. I'm going to mention it as training 13 and the short name as in train. Okay. Since we're just training, right? So let me put arbitrary names here, and you have to give a notification how you want it. I want it through email. I can put SMS or whatever, but as of now, I want email. So I'll just copy the email from here, and I'll just paste it here. Okay. So that's it. Now, all of this is going to happen for you only if you have done one change. Okay, add action. The moment I create alert rule, it will fail for you. I have created it. There will be a notification. Why it will fail? Because you have to do one settings here. Go to your Azure and then look for Azure subscription. Then come to the settings on the left hand side. Okay, as you click on the settings, the drop down will show up. Go for resource provider. And in this filter by name, you will try to select Microsoft, Microsoft dot. You'll have to look for a name. You have to look for a name called Insight. Okay. So for me, Insight is already registered because I've done it. So you will click here, and then you'll select a register here. For me, none of them are showing because it's already registered. So for you, it will be registered. Click here. It's going to take 5 minutes to get activated. Okay, instantly it won't be done. So that's it. Okay, once you have done this process, what you do is, see, for me it has already got enabled because I have already created the alert. Okay, so it's on now. All that I have to do right now is I'll have to come here. My email alert is also done. Now I'm going to do the event based trigger. That is, as soon as the file is available on the folder, right? So how do you do it? You go to add trigger, new edit, choose new, and then I'll put it as trigger one as training 13. Okay, you can entirely change the name. I put it this way. So schedule, type to schedule, come to storage events. So after storage events, select your subscription. Storage account, it's going to be my input training 12 blob. That's the storage account. And you have to give the blob name as well. The blob name was input, if you remember the container name. Okay, input with this backslash. If you see, both in the beginning and the end, you put it. See, it's going to come just input. Now, how your blob begins, the file name was export, right? I'll put ex, just ex. And how is it ending? It was a .csv file. I mentioned a .csv. All that I'm saying here is blob created. I'll click it, blob deleted. I'll click it, event. You have to create this too. And then start trigger. It's already enabled. I'm going to continue here. Okay. And I'm going to continue here. I'll continue here, and I'll publish all the 4 things that I've done so far. Okay. So everything should work. Now at first thing, I think my pipeline is going to fail. The reason being the file is already there. Okay. So if I go to monitor and I check for the pipelines, nothing is showing up. Okay. But what I'll do here is I'll quickly, okay. One thing again, this thing is going to get failed. Okay. that is your what I've created just now, event-based mail, right? Event-based storage account, it's going to fail if you don't come in the same place and select here in the filter by, you need to select something that is called as Microsoft dot event grid. Okay, if you don't select this, again it's going to fail. Okay, you'll have to register the same way you've done it for email alert. If you have selected this, then you are all good. So come here. The next thing that you're going to do is, so it's all done. I'll refresh it. There is no pipeline. I'll go to my data set. Okay, input data folder, input storage. I'm going to go to my input training blob services, and go to input. Now that's where my input folder is going to come, right? Since this is already there, I'll delete and I'm going to upload it fresh. Now, the moment I upload it, my pipeline should kick off. Okay. I'll look for my export folder .csv. So it is uploaded. I'll go here and check in this monitor pipeline whether if there is any pipeline getting triggered off. See, the first pipeline failed because the file was already available. This is that event. See, after some time, it has started this file. So this should succeed. Okay, if all is good. Let me check. It is still on progress. On progress. Still on progress. Finally, it succeeded. How can you say it succeeded? Only if, the way to validate is if in the output folder the file has shown up. Say output training link 3 storage output, and see the file is already there. That means the entire pipeline got executed properly. That's it. Okay. So now, what if the pipeline has failed? In that case, what would have happened? You should have got the email alert, right? So I'm not showing you that, but if your pipeline fails, this is how the message you're going to get it. Okay. Now, when it is going to fail, if you want to try it, maybe in the metadata checks, instead of 6, if you put your column count different from the column count you have it, so pipeline is going to fail, and after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, you get an email. You don't get it instantly. So I hope you understood. Thank you so much for being